I'm Linda Campbell. I'm the Executive Director of Project Against Violent Encounters, also known as PAVE, and we serve victims of domestic and sexual violence throughout Bennington County.
The first known Take Back the Night March in the United States was organized in San Francisco in 1978.
I have a degree in social work, so that's how I got involved. But certainly my passion is because I know domestic violence firsthand. Our mission actually is to end domestic violence through education and services throughout the community. And so we offer a 24-hour hotline, which is really how PAVE started.
My name is Nancy Feinberg. I am the volunteer coordinator at PAVE. I get paid for my position. I schedule and recruit volunteers to answer our 24-hour hotline.
Hard to make that first phone call, but I called them, and for the next 3 months they helped me with everything.
That's sometimes the first time they ever call is on the hotline, and it's the first voice they hear, so we really have to have caring people on the other side of the phone to listen to them, and it's mainly listening.
From the beginnings of being a hotline crisis response to the immediate violent encounter, that PAVE has now become a much more comprehensive service.
So someone can stay here for up to 2 weeks. This is for really women who are, having to leave and really have no place to go. And it can be extended longer if needed. It's really on an individual basis. But
they put me in a safe house. I lived there for just about the entire 3 months, trying to find an apartment that was big enough for me and my kids. Trying to go through the court proceedings, and they were there when it came to making sure the paperwork was filed and that everything was in order.
We have a transitional housing advocate that actually helps women with budgeting and repairing credit.
I had to recoup a lot of money and stuff that he wiped out bank accounts. I had nothing when all was said and done. I had nothing to start with. And we did budgeting, they let me use their washing machine when I needed a washer. I mean, they really let me, they helped me with everything.
We set up pack and plays. If there's a baby, we can accommodate that. And everything is furnished, so it's ready to go. We also have a supervised visitation center. It's called Family Time.
This supervised visitation program was born out of the need for women leaving relationships that were violent to have a safe place for them to drop off their children so that the fathers could have visitation time with their children. Due to court orders, the parents still have rights to see their children usually despite the histories of violence. I don't know if there's a closer bond than between parents and children. We're really here providing the safest place for children that we can, but also allowing them to connect and have a relationship with a parent. Parents rarely leave the emotional landscape of a child. We don't only serve fathers, we also serve 50% mothers, and many times mothers who are involved with domestic violence situations turn to drugs and alcohol and have substance abuse histories. So they may be under investigation through Department for Children and Families, or may have temporarily lost custody of their children. So we also see those families and those mothers, and to see that pain of being ripped apart from who they love most dearly, it's very emotionally charged.
I first started with PAVE in 1993 as a hotline volunteer and a court advocate. I have been personally a victim of domestic violence, but I didn't have a PAVE to go to.
I think no one really knows, unless they walk through that, how difficult that really is for a victim, and to gain that strength and support that she needs, and in her own timing make that choice, that no one else can make that for her.
it was hard convincing myself that something's definitely wrong, you know, and I went to his parents and I'm like, your kid is nuts, you need to help me here, and because they were really the only family I had per se in town, and his father was, yep, we need to, and his mother was, oh, not my boy, not my boy.
If you as an individual are experiencing domestic violence or you're not sure, you can call and it's all confidential, and we'll walk someone through that process of just thinking about whether they want to leave, what the relationship's like, and maybe sitting on that for a month or two and then calling back again, or knowing that they want to leave and creating a safety plan.
What has occurred over the 25 years is that PAVE has begun to offer the additional support kinds of services that allow women to move out of domestic violence situations and rebuild their lives.
We also provide a parenting class. It coincides with our supervised visitation because we realized pretty early on that if parents are being referred for supervised visitation, there probably is some parenting skills that are lacking. It's an empathy-based curriculum. So it's, I think it makes a lot of sense for the parents that we see. We'd like to do whatever we can during this time to aid in that process, that they don't just go back to their old patterns, because we know that many times domestic violence is cyclical.
You're 6 years old, and you see that your father hits your mother when he needs something, or he yells and screams and swears at her and makes her cry. When you're 16, if you want to get your way, you're going to use that same behavior because that's what you've grown up with. Bullying is becoming a really hot topic nationally, but it's always been on PAVE's radar. We have a program that's called Hands Are Not for Hitting. It starts in the very early elementary years, and it teaches kids how to deal with their frustrations.
And we all have a responsibility to talk to our children about, you know, fighting and bullying and video games and music and TV, and keep talking to our children about the importance of other choices when there's conflict.
So physical abuse.
Yes.
Is there any other type of abuse?
Verbal. Verbal.
Any other type?
Mental.
Mental? No, mental, emotional. Anything else?
Telepathically.
Telepathically. How about this? How about this? Sexual. My name is Steve Breakstone. I'm a youth educator for Project Against Violent Encounters. I like to think that a lot of the work that I do is fertilizing, in a sense, the seeds that have already been planted and have germinated, hopefully, you know, planted by their parents and their school teachers. Sometimes what I find is like, nope, it's not that way. I'm now planting the seed just to start. I'm just starting it right there. They haven't really discussed it.
So this sort of what may be a natural respect for privacy ends up, in fact, I think, sanctioning violence, because the privacy of whatever goes on in your house is nobody's business but yours, turns into secrecy. And in a sense, it ends up inadvertently protecting abusers. And I think it encourages people to turn a blind eye.
Most people actually are not abusers, and most people are not victims, but it does happen. Everybody, it turns out, is a bystander.
We have to take responsibility for making our community safe. PAVE can't do it alone. It's a community effort. And until everyone stands up to say, we're not going to accept this in our community, it's easy to just turn your back and say, it's not my business, or let PAVE deal with it.
Each of us have a responsibility to speak out against injustice and not be afraid to stand alone.
I have worked with survivors of sexual abuse and their families for over 25 years in different capacities. And the one question that is always asked is why? Why me?
PAVE's role is to break the cycle of domestic violence, to make aware how serious of an issue it is, and to teach new skills and how to be autonomous and healthy in relationship to yourself as well as with others.
It's very easy for anybody to say outside of that situation, if it ever happened to me, I'd be out of there in a minute.
I had coworkers that were like, "What is going on? You've got a black eye, you've got bruises on your arm," you know, and I was like, oh, and I did the typical make excuses things. Oh, I'm a klutz, you know, they didn't really know me, I was new to working there, so it was easy to make things up, and I did that, you know, for 2.5 months. I made up stories, and in my head I knew, I mean, I'm a smart woman, I knew it wasn't right.
You have children, they go to school. You may not have a car that's yours. You may not have a bank account that you can access. Who's going to believe you? Where are you going to go? And what is going to happen to you? And if you don't have an organization like PAVE to help you, then you get tied into this situation.
These programs, which are so phenomenally effective, that have been helping women and will continue to help women and their children, can only exist if we have continuous funds. PAVE needs the financial support of the community.
I mean, they gave me furniture when I moved, when I got an apartment. They gave me a bed because I didn't have a bed for my kids. And when I bought my furniture, when I saved up enough money to buy myself a new furniture set and a new bed for my daughters, I gave all that stuff and more back to them so that they could help somebody else. So it was my first thought, was give it to them. So I have a lot of respect for those ladies.
We came out today because there's so many women and men who suffer every day, and I think enough is enough, and no one deserves to ever have to feel that kind of pain. And hopefully give them strength by seeing other people that we're out here supporting them.
Domestic violence will only stop when a community finds it intolerable. And that requires, I think, that we bring it out of the shadow of secrecy. We take it out of the realm of shame and the belief that it's someone else's business, and decide that, in fact, it's everybody's business.